Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen in our gluten-free series. It's the middle of winter here in Melbourne and I don't know if you can hear it outside, but it's cold and wet and miserable. And so today we're going to make a pumpkin soup and a cheesy damper. Now the first thing that we want to talk about today is the pumpkin soup. Now for those of you who have some favourite pumpkins, this one is our favourite, which is a Kent, but you can use butternut, Queensland blue, Kent, Jap, whatever kind of pumpkin suits you and your family's preferences. And there's a quick way to make pumpkin soup, and that's just with our diced pumpkin and throwing it all together. Or there's the long way, which gives you the better taste, and that's with roasting, which we're going to do today. So I have here with me about 1 kilo of Jap pumpkin, which is about a piece about this size, that I've just chopped up and I'm going to roast in the oven. The other important ingredient with pumpkin soup is a stock, and a good stock. Now remembering with being gluten-free, so that's no wheat, oats, barley or rye, that we need to be careful with our stock. So if you buy pre-manufactured stock, read it very carefully. There's 2 or 3 brands that make gluten-free, but most of the common main brands include wheat, unfortunately, in their stock. But once you've made your own, you'll never go back to buying pre-manufactured. So to make our chicken stock today, I've got 3 chicken carcasses, some black pepper, a couple of bay leaves, and then just some fragrances, so a carrot, an onion and celery. And we're going to put all of that together now. So now to put our stock together. So you need a nice big pot. So I have here my stock pot. And into the pot, I'm just going to put our chicken carcasses. I don't want to come out of the bag today. There we go. And then all of our ingredients. So peppercorns, bay leaves, the carrot, no need to chop, just having peeled them, onion and celery. Now I'm going to cover that with a couple of litres of water. Bring it to the boil. And then let it simmer for 2 to 3 hours. So now to prepare our pumpkin. As I said earlier, we could be using this pumpkin raw to start making our soup, but you get a much better flavour and sweetness when you roast it. So first up, just adding a little bit of olive oil into our roasting dish, just to stop it sticking. Then we add our pumpkin. Just toss that through the olive oil a little bit. Now this will take about 40-45 minutes to cook on a fan forced of 160 or otherwise on 180 if you don't have a fan forced oven, and then we'll let that go cold. So now it's time to finish off our stock. So you can see here that a layer of fat has formed on the top, which we just need to lift before we strain our stock. And again, it doesn't matter if we don't get every last little bit of chicken fat off. But the more you get off, the healthier your soup will be. Right, that's most. Now, okay. Now to strain our soup, we could use a small strainer, our chinois that we've seen before, but because we've got large carcasses, it is easier if we can use something as large as this, and this is actually my pasta strainer. So I'm just going to pop my pasta strainer in the pot I'm going to cook my soup on. Rearrange here a bit. And now I'm just going to tip my stock into the large pot. That's it. And we're done. So this looks to me like it's probably about 3 litres of stock in here. I'm only going to want 2, so I'm just going to measure it out and bring it down to the 2 litres that I want. All right, so 2 litres into the pot. 1.5. 2 litres. Fantastic. So the rest of that's going into the freezer. Okay, so the remaining ingredients for our pumpkin soup are the pumpkin that we roasted earlier, which is nice and sweet and fabulous, 1 onion and some diced potato. So we'll pop all of these in our stock now. And goes the potato and the onion, no need to chop it, just pop it in whole. And then our pumpkin. Get all that last bits of gorgeous pumpkin in. Now we're going to bring this up to the boil and simmer it for about 20 minutes to half an hour and then puree it all together. And that's just long enough for us to make our damper. So let's light the gas. So for our damper today, we have 3 cups of self-raising flour sifted, gluten-free ones of course, a cup of grated cheese, 60 grams of butter that we've cubed, a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You could leave it out, but it's really good. A cup of milk, half a lemon just to sour our milk, and some extra flour for when we're kneading. So to put all the ingredients together for our damper, we take our flour, salt and cayenne pepper. Give them a bit of a stir. Now remembering that when you're doing a dough like this, you use a knife, not a spoon, to help cut that together. Now this is the tricky bit. Don't forget to take your ring off. It's much easier at this point than at the end when it's all covered in dough. We add our butter. And what we're going to do is rub our butter to form small breadcrumbs. So this is at room temperature. So now we'll just rub it in. So now having rubbed it in just using my fingertips, I need to see if it's ready and then make sure I haven't got any large lumps of butter. So give the bowl a shake and have a squeeze to make sure that there are no large lumps of butter. Okay, so now we can just add our cheese in, stir through. And it's time to add our liquid. So making a well in the centre. You can see why you shouldn't be wearing black today. All right, so with our milk, I just need to sour it, and that means just a squirt of lemon juice into the milk. And now pour that into the centre of our bowl, using the knife to stir the flour in. Now depending on the humidity in your kitchen, you may use all of this milk or not quite all. So let's see how we go. Because what we want is a nice firm scone dough, really. Now this looks pretty good, so now we just need to put it out on a slightly floured board and give it a light knead. So with just that little bit of extra flour. Don't want too much because we don't want to dry out our damper. Out you come. Now with just a little bit of extra flour on our hands, just to help it not stick so much, we're just going to give this a quick light knead. It's one of those days you shouldn't wear a black shirt, really. Okay, so it only needs a little bit just to help bring it all together. So now I'm just going to pop our dough onto our tray here, which is a non-stick dough. I'm just going to pat it out into a circle. A bit sticky still. Or a rough circle. Okay, so now I'm just going to divide up the damper into 8 pieces. So by cutting it not quite all the way through, it'll make it easier to break up. And the final thing is just to brush the top with a little bit of that milk that was left over to help it go nice and brown, and then pop it in a hot oven of about 210 for 25 minutes to 30 minutes. And by that time, our soup will be ready. Can't wait. So in she goes. So now we just need to see if the potato, that one that we diced up inside with the pumpkin, is cooked, because that was the raw hard bit, and that it is. Excellent. So turn off my gas. All right, I'll just bring that into the board in the middle. And so, being really careful, of course, because this will be very hot, I just now need to puree it. So, using my stick blender. So once this is all nice and smooth, it's ready to serve, and it can be stored in the fridge for up to 3 days, or you can freeze it if you've made too much, but it never lasts to go in our freezer. All right, smells fantastic. Hopefully that damper will be ready in a minute. All right, let's see if that's ready. Now, just with the end of a knife, just need to check inside, make sure it's not doughy. Doesn't that just look wonderful? Turn the oven off. Oh, the cheese just smells so good. Okay, so now when I take this to the table, I usually wrap it in a tea towel to keep it nice and warm when I take it to the table. But as it's just me here today, chop myself off a nice piece. Look at that, just fantastic. And some soup. Doesn't that just look so delicious? Now traditionally, pumpkin soup is served with a little bit of sour cream, so I'm just going to spoon a little bit into the middle of my soup, and then it's lunchtime. Now the recipe for everything we've cooked today is on my blog, so see the link below. And if you're enjoying all of these videos that we've got up on the YouTube channel, please subscribe. But now for the best bit, and that's the tasting. Oh, that soup is so smooth, and I love this damper. Just delicious. Until next time, everybody. Ciao.